So let this video be an inspiring start to your 2020. We're gonna set some goals and we're gonna achieve them, except instead of crushing our goals like everybody says, we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna uncrush our goals. We're gonna start from scratch and start this decade fresh. Impossible, you say? Nah, not at all. Check this out. We're gonna start from scratch. Oh. Watch. Sealed. All right. Here's to us, to our roaring 20s. Nothing's ever impossible on this channel. Ooh, that gave me chills. That's a great intro. I'm gonna go change shirts. Let's begin. Hey, my name is Andrei Jikh. Weird name, I know. I've never heard my name before, and you probably haven't either. But you know what? I'm sick of chasing my dreams, so today I'm just gonna ask them where they're going and then meet up with them later. Mitch Hedberg. But on a serious note, I'd like to put this video out there in the universe so that a few years from now I can look back at it, compare, and laugh at how miserably I probably failed at these goals for our entertainment pleasure. Now, I used to be a struggling YouTuber. I still am, but I used to be as well, and I just love watching my old videos, looking back at just how anxious and stressed out I was about life, thinking to myself at that moment, man, I'm kind of a loser. I'm 30 years old, and here I am wanting to be a YouTuber talking about personal finance. No one's gonna watch me. I'm not a millionaire. I've got no experience in banking. I'm not a certified public accountant. I've got no empire to brag about, no courses to sell to people, and yet, here we are. Still don't know the answer to those questions, so I don't know why you're watching my channel. But 2 years after quitting and sustaining myself on nothing but watching inspiring videos of young 20-year-olds making 6 figures per month and driving Lamborghinis, which made me feel way worse about myself, so I quit social media for like 2 years straight because high five if you are petty like me. I was, however, able to save up and invest my way into a 6-figure dividend growth stock portfolio, which is what allowed me to quit my job in the first place, and that's what I want for you. And no, YouTube money was not what allowed me to quit my job. I quit, waited 2 years, wallowed in my sorrows, and then I started to do YouTube. But I realized by internet standards, this is not a huge accomplishment where, you know, everyone is a 12-year-old with $1 million who's driving Lambos, but I'm pretty proud of it considering that I did it on a pretty modest salary of about $50,000 per year, which is the average household income in America, and I did it with no help from my parents. I did it as an immigrant with no college education. So if I can do it, then you can do it too. But have you ever had this thought where it's like when you turn 20, you're like, I must figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life. And if you don't know, that's okay. When you're 20, you've got the rest of your life to figure it out. Blissful youth, and it's the power of being young. But then, when you turn 30, this is what happens. I'm turning 30 and I still don't know what I want to do with my life. It's not so cute anymore. If you don't have that feeling just yet, don't worry, you will. Life finds a way. But let me be a reminder that that type of thinking is nonsense. I don't care what anyone says. Doesn't matter what your age is. Your path in life to success is not determined by your age. You could be 40 years old and still have no idea what you want to do with the rest of your life. That's okay. Life doesn't work this way, closing doors. What does that even mean? And if they do, open them back up again. They're doors. You know why? J.K. Rowling was almost broke when she was writing the first Harry Potter books. She would sit in a small little coffee shop where she even got rejected, and by the time the first book was published, she was 36 years old. She became a billionaire just 10 years later. Hashtag Slytherin for life. Slither in your DMs when I get that blue verification check mark. Never. Still haven't gotten mine. First world problems. Stan Lee, the comic book creator that all the Marvel movies movies are based on, didn't get his first break until he was almost 40 years old when he published Fantastic Four. Samuel L. Jackson didn't get his acting break in Spotlight until Pulp Fiction when he was 45 years old. And Susan Boyle didn't get her AGT audition where she killed everybody with her beautiful voice, made everyone cry until she was almost 50 years old. So you see, it is never too late to set some goals and achieve them, which is why today we're gonna set some epic goals and achieve them for 2020 and beyond in this next decade. But I do want to remind you that my journey right now is out in public for thousands of people to look at, to make fun of, and this is my way of committing to my journey. And I think it's the coolest thing in the world to see somebody set some public goals and then look back at this video in years from now just to see how far they've progressed or regressed, win or lose. It's such a cool thing, and I think it's the human element of the journey itself to see just how far we can push ourselves that has fascinated me to make these goals and to reach for higher standards, and I encourage you to do the same or risk public ridicule in my case. But before we set some goals, we have to make sure that they're smart. But what does that mean, Andrei? Glad you asked. They're the opposite of me. Dumb. So S stands for specific, and my specific goal for 2020 is to reach 1 million subscribers here on YouTube. My 2019 goal was 1,000, and I ended 2019 with 311,000, which is insane. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should be a YouTuber, but what I am saying is consider this. As somebody who's a stock market investor, tries to see where the trends are going and what's happening in this world of economics, I can confidently say that in the next 10 or 20 or even 30 years, as machine learning starts to ramp up, as automation starts to replace and displace much of the skilled labor economy, I will say that the value of economics is going to tremendously shift from manual labor or even skilled labor to more of intellectual property and creativity. And so if you're somebody who can teach or entertain or reach thousands or millions of people, you're going to be disproportionately compensated for that reach. And it's crazy. We're seeing that shift already because we have these influencers who are earning millions of dollars per year, and it's insane. But 5 years from now, we're gonna look back on YouTube. We're gonna look at it as this crazy platform, and we're gonna say to ourselves, oh my God, 5 years ago in 2020, I wanted to do YouTube, but I thought it was just oversaturated because there's so many people posting online videos. But in 2025, we're gonna look back and think, holy crap, it's 10 times bigger. Why didn't I do this earlier? And that's why it's so important. So I'm not saying you need to have the answer to this right now or today, but just wanted to plant this idea as an inception just to get you to think about the fact that you should start having some sort of an online presence or awareness in this social media space. You don't need to be a guru or an expert on some field of economics or anything like that, but just start to document your journey throughout life. It's gonna teach you invaluable skills about how to manage the social media aspect, and also how to shoot videos and how to talk on camera and how to be a personality, but how to be whatever, a more refined person, if you will. That sounds very pompous of me to say as somebody who does YouTube for a living. I don't think I'm any better than people, but just you get extra skills that I think are gonna be extremely valued in the future economy. Well, that was a rant and a half. I'm really sorry about that. Hold on, I think I'm sitting on a soapbox here. Let me put that away. But my financial goals for 2020 is to have a net worth of $500,000, which is exactly $200,000 more than I have today. And that'll of course depend on the stock market conditions. If the stock market crashes, I'm probably not gonna get there. But it will help if I meet my next goal, which is to have a $300,000 income in 2020. Doesn't sound real, but between my ad revenue, between sponsorships and affiliates and course sales, if I have any at that point, and everything in between, I think it's a possibility, which is really exciting. I also want to invest $2,000 every single month in Robinhood to buy more dividend growth stocks to grow the best form of passive income that allowed me to quit my job in the first place, which is my dividend income, and I want to buy at least $2,000 worth of stocks. And of course, I'm gonna update you and make those videos every time I do, every time I buy or I sell, just as I always have here on YouTube. It's gonna be an exciting journey. And I want to track all of my expenses. Everything I buy, little or large, I want to just take a picture of my receipt and track it, where I will eventually plug it into my spreadsheet. And then it's just gonna be so cool to see this overall picture of my health, of my money situation. And then if it's not too embarrassing, I would love to share it with you. And for philanthropy, which I think everybody everybody should have some kind of a goal of giving something back. I want to donate a couple $1,000s or maybe some percent of my sponsorship money, if I have any sponsorship money in 2020, to you for watching this. Maybe I'll fund your Roth IRAs or give you a starting portfolio full of index funds, something like that. Maybe a couple $1,000s. I'd be so happy with that. I didn't make anything my first 5 months, and I hope this year is going to be more consistent and I'll make a lot more. If that happens, I will be glad to be the first to do that. And in order to fund my philanthropy of giving away money, because I'm a finance nerd and I think about money and numbers, I made a real algebraic formula that mathematically represents the growth of YouTube, about how you can re-engineer everything. And it's similar to Einstein's theory of special relativity, E equals mc squared, except it's for YouTube success. And the formula is success equals parentheses t times v end parentheses to the power of c. It's a real formula that I had checked by a mathematician, and it seems to work out. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. I'll make a video about this explaining everything in the future if there are any requests for it, but each and every variable is another subset of equations that basically represents something you can control in order to re-engineer YouTube's success and basically make money from YouTube. It's how I visualize my journey, and again, it's not actual real numbers you're plugging into it. It's just a way of conceptually understanding how the formula works, how the algorithm works, and how to basically consistently grow on YouTube. I just realized it sounds so crazy explaining this, but that's how my brain works, and yeah, that's way in the future if people request it. The point I was trying to illustrate is that your goals have to be specific, like my algebraic formula. It can't just be something like, I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad. That's a dream and a vision, and those are not attainable in the short term. A goal is if you have the right strategy and you can execute on it. So I want to make more money is not specific enough. Next up is M, and it stands for measurable. So your goals have to be something you could literally measure. Don't even. But if you want to get closer with your family, perhaps go on 3 vacations this year. If you want to pay down debt, pay off at least 1 credit card and build yourself an emergency fund of at least $1,000. And if you want an excellent credit score, make it a goal to get to 750 and beyond. Those are all admirable yet measurable goals that I've had in the past that I've conquered, so maybe you can adopt them and make them your own. Believe it or not, the average American will save only 8.8% of their annual income this year. But I want you to be way better than the average American by aiming for at least 30%. And we can calculate it by keeping track of all of our expenses. I'm gonna be taking pictures of all of my receipts, adding that up, and then subtracting it from my annual income, either before or after taxes, depending on how I wanna feel about myself. But when I was earning 50K per year, I was saving 50% of my annual income before taxes. Felt really good about myself, but I've heard of people saving 50% on as little as $40,000 per year. So I know it's possible. You just have to stay away from Starbucks, Whole Foods, and Chipotle, and in-game app purchases, because they're the devil. One of my personal 2020 goals is to pay off my parents' house. I love my parents. They would tell me stories about how when we were in the Soviet Union, I was 2 years old, we would wait in line the entire day for the basics like bread and milk and cheese, and by the end of the day we would come home empty-handed, because even if you had money back then, you couldn't buy the stuff because communism wasn't a viable form of economics. It just wouldn't work. And I don't know how I remember this, but I actually have memories of this stuff when I was 2 years old, which maybe explains why I'm obsessed about helping people with money and personal finance. But capitalism, for all of its flaws and all of its shortcomings, is an incredible tool for building wealth. So don't waste your 30s or your 40s. Learn about the stock market, learn about dividends, learn about real estate investing and wedge deals. Learn it all and subscribe to my channel. +1, it's measurable. A stands for attainable. Your goals have to be something you can attain. 10 years ago when I was 20, I never thought I would have 10 grand sitting in my bank account. That's crazy. And then have $100,000 saved and invested by age 25? No way. But these are all attainable goals that I wouldn't be here today if I didn't set them 10 years ago. And also, if your goal is to make 6 figures working as a sales associate at Abercrombie & Fitch, that probably won't work. Move on. Or maybe you think you can negotiate 6 figures at your job that you've been at for almost 10 years. You probably can't. Move on. All of these unfortunate examples may or may not have been me at some point or another. R stands for relevant. Make sure that if you pick a career or a job or a brand that you want to build, make sure that it's relevant to you and to the world. Like right now, tech jobs in the tech sector in general is very economically relevant and beneficial. But if you want to build a blockchain brand, then you have a very small window of time to be relevant. In my case, as a personal finance guy, the relevancy of my channel kind of goes in and out depending on the booms and busts of the economic cycle, right? It's very cyclical. But if you're a teacher who wants to be a nurse, let's say, that's not a very relevant goal unless you take some really drastic measures to change your life around, right? So basically what I'm saying is, don't do what I did. A cardistry magician, filmmaker, turned personal finance YouTuber. Or do. Amazing things can still happen. And T stands for time bound or timely. If your goals don't have a deadline, they will never happen. And this is just as true for business as it is for personal relationships. One sec. Hey, what's up, Joey? Yeah, man, I'd love to hang. Yeah, let's go see Star Wars next week. All right, man. Yeah, we'll hang, for sure. All right, see you, man. And we never did, because that was a dramatic reenactment of real life events that never come true because nobody picks a day and nobody picks a time. And to increase your chances for success of all of these goals, the most important thing of all is to have your why. Why do you want to travel more? Is it to keep up with that Instagram model or the Jones? Why do you want to be more fit? Is it because you want to be healthy and feel better about yourself, or because you want to attract somebody? Why do you want more money? Is it because you want to buy that Lambo that's not going to make you happy? Why do you want to get married and buy a house? Is it because you want society to accept you as an adult? What's your reason? Why do I want 1 million subscribers here on YouTube? I'll tell you why. My friend and I have a race, first to 1 million, and I want to win. It's simple, really, but it's also one of the only ways I'll ever call myself a millionaire in my 30s. That's why. So ultimately, don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday you said tomorrow, just do it and make your dreams come true. So I realized if you didn't get that reference, I sounded like a nut job, but love you guys, and I'm so excited for what the next decade, the roaring 20s, will bring for all of us. I think it's gonna be an incredible year and an incredible decade. Love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.